This week, the most important thing for the UN is probably the start of the 79th session of General Assembly, and for the first time ever, State of Palestine is sitting among member states. During the opening session, Egyptian Ambassador Osama Abdel Khalek asked the President Philemon Young to confirm this arrangement.
I request you to confirm with the Secretariat that His Excellency Ambassador Riyad Mansour, the distinguished permanent representative of the State of Palestine, is seated among the member states accordingly.
I have been informed that all arrangements have been made to have Palestine seated where it's supposed to sit.
And obviously, it drew the objection from Israeli mission.
These decisions reward terrorism and seriously impair the possibility of reaching a solution to the conflict and resolve matters through peaceful negotiations. And they also make it even more difficult to bring about the return of the 101 hostages, further distancing the end of the war.
After the session, ambassadors of many member states went to congratulate Palestine for this significant change. There were so many people that they had to form a line waiting for the handshake. And later, I briefly asked Palestinian ambassador his feeling about this.
You've been here for quite some time. How do you feel to sit among
I feel great. This is a historic moment, and it is a significant step in acquiring our right, a legal right and natural right to become a full member.
How's the other member states' response?
Very, very greatly. There was a long line of people coming to our seat, extending their congratulations. We appreciate that and we cherish that.
In May, General Assembly overwhelmingly adopted a resolution granting State of Palestine a series of privileges, including sitting among member states. It can also, representing a group, introduce a draft resolution in the General Assembly. Will Ambassador Mansour introduce the latest draft resolution on ICJ himself?
Are you going to introduce the draft resolution you had yourself now?
You just wait and see.
Well, what I'm talking about is a new draft resolution circulating among member states. This lengthy draft, named Advisory Opinion of the International Court of Justice on the Legal Consequences Arising from Israel's Policy and Practices in the Occupied Palestinian Territory, including East Jerusalem, and from the illegality of Israel's continued presence in the Occupied Palestinian Territory, is demanding Israel brings to an end without delay its unlawful presence in the occupied Palestinian territory no later than 12 months from the adoption of the present resolution. It also lists other calls for member states and the UN to follow. The 8-page-long draft is quite ambitious. A diplomat told me if Palestinian mission wants to put this current draft to vote, the endorsement would be less than the last resolution, for many member states would consider their own interests on this matter. However, as far as I know, this is exactly the Palestinian mission's thought to put the current draft to a vote. And why? The GA resolution is non-binding and there is no veto. So there is no difference that 180 or 100 member states support this resolution as long as it gets adopted. And then why not go tougher? So it seems the vote will happen before the high-level week, which means it will happen next week. We will see how it plays out. And it's less than 10 days to have Summit of the Future. But what is Summit of the Future exactly? Let's hear from Guy Ryder, UN Under Secretary General for Policy and lead for the Summit of the Future. Can you explain what the Summit of the Future is to our audience in a very interesting way?
You have to go underneath the formalities and sometimes language which is not easily accessible. But if we succeed in getting agreement from 193 member states on actions that will secure governance of new technologies that will spread benefits much more widely through inclusion, through connectivity, through the governance of artificial intelligence. If we're able, you've heard it before, to accelerate SDGs, if we're able to revamp the United Nations peace operations, if we are able to initiate the changes that will make the Security Council more effective. Yes, this will influence people's lives. Will it happen the day after the pact is gavelled? No. It needs, and you pointed to the key here, it needs implementation.
Oh, and one last thing. Has Secretary General watched the US presidential election debate?
Last night, there is a spectacular TV political show on US TV. Has the Secretary General watched that show?
Secretary General is well aware of what transpired during 98 or 100 minutes yesterday on television in the United States and around the world.
But after that show, Taylor Swift made her endorsement. Will the Secretary General endorse what Taylor Swift's endorsement?
I never saw I would say that, but let's go to Benny.
Well, that's all from me.